think obviously trying to build like a solid pre-run routine or a mobility routine that focuses mainly on the hips, the top of the rib cage. So it's quite a lot of, obviously with today's society and stuff, we have a lot of people who are rounded shouldered at the front. And what I'll tell you what, actually, just bear with me for 2 seconds because I'm going to go and get a rib cage model. It'd be better for me.
I like it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to sit up a bit straight away. Explain it as well.
I'll be 30 seconds. So this is your rib cage. Okay. A lot of the time, especially average golfers, and obviously not average golfers, but average handicap golfers, and people who work at desks or a lot of sitting down, driving a lot. What will happen is the shoulders will tend to roll forwards, okay, which will then cause a reaction for this to lift slightly, okay. And then what happens then is all of these, everything around the intercostals becomes pretty jammed up, everything around here. And especially if this rib cage is slightly flared, it's harder to rotate on a slightly flared rib cage. Okay, so your rotation as you go into rotation will feel more restricted. So I think the main thing that people can do, which is going to make most of the difference in how they move from here up. Okay, so maybe let's look at the top part of the sternum. Okay, so these first sort of 7 ribs are the ones that are the most important for rotation. Okay. Anything below that it doesn't really move that much in a sense of the coiling action that we want to try and have in the golf swing. Okay.
Is that more from the hips than the lower part?
Yeah. So basically, in the golf swing, the rotation happens from the base of the neck to about T7. So just where the diaphragm sits, it's from diaphragm above. Okay. So it's not this whole rib cage turning. Yeah. That's not what happens. It's from the diaphragm up that turns against. So let's imagine, okay, I had, this was my rib cage, okay, I wanted to turn the top part of my rib cage, but I wanted to keep this still. It would look something like this, okay, as I start to turn, I'll show you about the model actually. As I start to turn, that should separate from this.
Right.
Okay, that's that initial coiling action that you would want to see in an athletic golf swing. Obviously, if you don't have that in your golf swing, because a lot of the time amateurs will have both of those two parts moving at the same time.
Yeah.
So then what happens is it'll filter down to the pelvis. The pelvis will do something funky, yeah, to accommodate for that.
Yeah.
Or the shoulder blade will do something funky to accommodate for that. So they're the 2 areas that will always kind of like accommodate basically for the lack of coil. All right. But in order to, some people just can't do it from physical limitation. Okay, particularly I find it more in adult golfers who are just weekend golfers because they haven't grown up playing golf.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a professional golfer who's grown up playing golf, moves pretty well, they can do that fairly well. Sometimes not optimally, but if you tell them to do it, they can do it. But if I try and get like an adult golfer to do it who just plays on the weekends, it can sometimes be difficult physically because of the restrictions that they have up into this top part. Okay. So one thing that you can really do to help it, especially with the intercostals, is breathing drills. Okay. So you could literally just focus. This is a very easy one. Just lay on your back. Okay. Focus on just keeping your rib cage fairly neutral. All right. And as you're breathing through the nose, start the breath down by your belly button. All right. And then fill up into the top of the ribs. Okay. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to expand the ribs like that. Okay. As you breathe in, what that'll do is that'll create some pliability in between the intercostals.
Okay.
Okay. Because you've got to remember when you turn, it's not just the vertebrae turning. Okay. It's all of these ribs moving, compressing, decompressing. Okay. So you need to be able to have pliability in the intercostals as well to be able to do that. So breathing is probably one of the most easiest things you can do just to try and increase that. And then all you'd start to do is just add that breathing into some movement drills. So you might do a breathing drill where you're doing like a rotation drill where you laying on your side or in a half kneeling position, and you breathe in. As you breathe in, you just start to turn, and as you're breathing in, you're trying to direct the breath into the top part of your chest as you turn.
So you're trying a specific area to breathe into almost?
Yeah, and you can use your
Okay.
fingers as feedback. So, like, if I was going to try and open up the right side of my rib cage, I'd go up into my armpit, up to the top in between the intercostals, and then I might start to breathe in. Okay, as I start the breath into my belly and drive it upwards. So I'll do it with my nose, and then I might do a little reach and turn as I'm still breathing. All right. That's like really simple stuff that people can even do at a desk if they want to.
That's quite different. Where I always when I'm doing it better, I will try and breathe at the right time when I'm stretching, but I've never picked specific.
Yeah, you can direct breath into the rib cage really easily. Like if you wanted to direct a breath down here, it's actually quite easy to do, but you just got to use your fingers as a bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think belly breathing is like what you should do. It's not necessarily true. Your breath should start around the belly, but then it's about how your rib cage fills up and expands when you breathe. Okay, that's the important part, because that's when you can get the rib cage sort of. It's like it almost does this. It like expands and shrinks, and that's when, if you can do that well, these ribs will start to kind of be a bit more pliable. So then when you're rotating, they'll have more room to be able to do this sort of movement. Yeah. Whereas if they're all jammed up and you're trying to turn, it's just like it's not going to work basically.
No separation, everything goes together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it like all these ribs, they move as like if I just spin that, can you see that very well?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, if I just spin that, obviously this is a model, this is not exactly how it works.
They can be quite independent.
It gives an understanding of that these do move. They move, they get closer together, they get further apart. So it's not just the vertebrae that move. And sometimes people would think that they've got restriction up here, when in actual fact it's just their rib cage is just so immobile around here, it's not allowing the vertebrae to turn very well.
Awesome. So that's sitting with the shoulders forward. The reaction is to pull out your chest that way.
Yes, but you got to be very careful because you don't want to be extending too far down. Okay, it's more extension from like up here.
Right.
But you should directly extension with a bit of breathing. Okay, so another good drill you can do is pop your thumbs under your armpits, like under your pecs like that. Okay, and then as you're breathing in, you're going to feel like the lower part of your rib cage. So let's say this part, all right, stays down slightly. And then as you're breathing in, you're trying to expand this top part. So it might look like something like this, where I'm just sitting here, all right, soft ribs at the bottom. And as I breathe in, and I'm just feeling like I'm trying to pull the rib cage up slightly, okay? But I'm not doing this. I'm not extending through the back. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm just, another way that I like to look at it is like an unzipping.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to unzip from here, okay? But I'm not like, because if I was to just move this as one piece, it would look like that, right? Yeah. Whereas if I actually do what I want to do, it'll look a little bit more like that.
Right, okay.
That makes sense. And then you get
more of that space you're talking about to be able to rotate or separate that top half.
Yeah, I think, because like I said, like, this always influences what the pelvis does, okay? So if this isn't doing its job very well, your body will find the movement somewhere else, usually the pelvis or the shoulder blade, okay? So the main thing is that this needs to move well. You need to be able to breathe properly and know how to breathe properly. There's a really good book called Breathe by James Nestor.
Okay.
Unbelievable book. Like he's a journalist, but he's kind of like he's researched into breathing to ridiculous amounts, even to the point where he's done like a research study on himself where he blocked his nasal passage for 2 weeks and then took them out and just nasal breathe for 2 weeks.
Right.
And I won't say any more, but the results are crazy of what he got from it.
I'll have a look at that. Sounds not for me to try myself, but I'll read into it.
It just talks about the history of breathing and a lot of the reasons why we have all these issues nowadays with sinuses, dental work and stuff like that. It's a really good book. It's really interesting. Cool. So if anyone wants to know more about breathing, that's a great book to read as well. So
awesome. Right, mate. That's been brilliant. That's more than a minute, but
Yeah.
quality info. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day thinking about my rib cage now and how I'm sitting and breathing. So that's awesome.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, hopefully that helps.
No, it's massive. Like it was literally to get more different type of content out there, just share. Because like I said to a few other coaches, when I started coaching, nobody shared anything. It was everyone's so insular. It kept it all to themselves. But now, younger guys that'll just have this. Here's what I do. Here's what I do. This information is great, especially little demos, and that's something I think everyone can do. Lying down. I spoke. Who else did I speak the other day? Natalie Lowe, you probably know. She was about when you're boiling the kettle, do your bits, then you keep stuff, which is.
I think also what it highlights people is when they do try it, that some people might realise how inefficient they are at breathing.
Yeah,
and it's so important just for general health anyway. So it's a good little way to just kind of get tuned into that side of things, and then you can start to try and incorporate into your mobility exercises for your mid back. Well. Perfect. I'll say upper rib cage, just say.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate.
All right, mate.
Yes, that much appreciated.
That's all right, mate.
Have a good session again tomorrow. It's good you're back working anyway. You're still working.
Yeah, I will do. I'll work the boys hard. So.
All right, mate.
Good, mate.
Cool. Cheers again. All the best. I'll see you soon.